Now let's move on to someone on the complete other end of the spectrum, I'd say, is Treylon Burks, one who is probably going top 3 currently in the rookie? Top 5.
Because top 3 right now in rookie drafts, yeah.
Yeah, top 3 rookie drafts. Treylon Burks. Yes, Jake?
So I recently dove back into some Treylon Burks film, and I brought out some things that I really didn't like.
You're lower on him.
Oh.
That's why I'm saying top 3. Garrett Wilson's going to go ahead of him.
Regardless of compared to other prospects in this draft, I mean, you look at him on paper and you go, okay, he's 6'3", 225. He has a great dominator rating. He's probably going to run a 4.4. He has the linear progression that you want to see from all these college prospects. So on paper, he looks fantastic. But I dove into him a little bit, and he kind of strikes me as a gadget player a little bit. They used him in a lot. His biggest strength was his yards after catch, and that's just because they were just, throwing a 2-yard screen to him or a 2-yard slant, getting him in screen, just using him kind of all over the field. He didn't create a lot of separation, which I know is an overrated statistic, just because people use that to, put down Jamar Chase last year. But to me, Jamar Chase is just in a whole other category than Treylon Burks. I don't think he's nearly as good as Jamar Chase was, even at LSU. So he beats people with his strength and just being, good at contested catches. So it just worries me at the next level, because in the next level, corners are stronger, corners are faster, corners are just as tough as you are. And you won't be able to just bully them around like he even did to some of the top defenses in college football. Because, at the NFL, you're playing the best of the best of college football. So he kind of struck me as Laviska Shenault, which I know looks really bad right now, but just a big guy that got a lot of yards after catch in college. And I see the upside, and I understand. I still think he's, a top 3, maybe 4 receiver in this class, but I don't think he's as bulletproof as people are saying.
Okay. Those are some big takes.
I think he'll be better. He'll end up being better than Laviska Shenault, but I'm just saying that kind of play style where he's just a bigger guy, very, fast.
Oh, you see some more like Chenault's play style? For me, I kind of see it. I don't want to go like any crazy comparison, so I'll kind of go with a more moderate one. Like, do you remember Alshon Jeffrey in his prime in Chicago? And even at South Carolina.
That's not a bad comp at all.
I thought that's what he reminded me of a little bit.
It's not, and he has all these advanced statistics that you want. Like I said, good dominator rating, good yards per route run. So like I said,
yards per route run.
Right, but the problem I had is his routes honestly didn't impress me. I'd much rather Garrett Wilson. I'd much rather Chris Olave even Drake London, who people criticize his route running. I thought he ran better routes than Treylon Burks did. So I have some big question marks on Treylon Burks. I do think he's going to end up being a top 3 receiver, 4 receiver taken in the NFL draft, and he will be a first-round pick in every single Dynasty rookie draft coming up. But I don't think it's as bulletproof as people are leading us to believe.
You guys are the ones that let DK Metcalf and AJ Brown fall in rookie drafts. Because to me, Treylon Burks is just, as a prospect, DK Metcalf. If DK Metcalf hit the 3-cone drill or whatever he screwed up, it's just DK Metcalf.
Want to see what I've written here right there? DK Metcalf.
Let's go, Frank. Let's go.
I feel like that's just such like the almost like easy comp.
Hey, no, it's an easy comp. It's just
because it works out. They're massive guys that can move.
Is that because Jake is right though, right? To me, Treylon Burks, unpolished route runner, was not asked to run a difficult route tree, right? Schemed open.
Yeah, most of his routes were either negative yards in the air or under 5 yards in the air. He didn't really
Or just a 9
run
route.
a lot of routes.
Yeah, but
When
you want to
watch-
know all I need to see is this clip right here. Oh, this screen is fucked up. Hold on a second. I gotta pull it up. Screen. How do I do this?
He's in my top 3 receivers this draft.
There we go.
He might be 2. But he's definitely not beating
Right, like I said,
Wilson
I think
for 1 for me.
I think right now I've graded about 7 or 8 wide receivers, something like that, and I have him at wide receiver 3. But people are saying he's the no doubt wide receiver 1, and I just don't see that. I'd much rather Garrett Wilson, and I certainly rather Drake London. So for me, it's tough.
Dude, Randy Page is the Algier guy. He said PFF has him number 3 running back in the class. Crazy high rushing grade and dominator. I'll be back when he shines.
The PFF statistics are good. The PFF rankings are always whack.
Listen, I've been wildly wrong before.
I mean, listen, if he's good, we'll eat our words on it.
If we're talking wide receivers, though, we want to go back to Treylon Burks while you're pulling up, Frank. I think I got Burks as my solid 101, which Jake just disagreed with. But then
you have him at your 101?
Or one overall receiver, not Brees Hall is still my 101. It'd go Hall, Burks.
I was about to just be
no. Burks is my top receiver. Then London, Wilson, Bell, I think is how I currently have them stacked up. Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, I don't know. He's just so good, and people are like, his yards per route run against single coverage is just astronomical. It improved every year. It's like an astronomical number. It's something that, like, when you see someone have such elite level numbers there, you gotta bump them up, because that's one of the things that actually translates to the NFL. So,
boy, that's one of the things that, like, dude, I remember DK Metcalf, and it's funny because I actually think that DK Metcalf wasn't as raw as Treylon Burks, but I think that Treylon Burks just has a little bit better tape than DK had. Like, dude, I watched Treylon Burks, right? Here's the clip I wanted to show for a while here. This is my dude from Auburn, Roger McCreary. This is a good fucking corner. This is an NFL corner right here. This dude is legit. He's going to be a top 50 prospect this year. I think he should go in the first round, but we'll see. And Treylon Burks, like, dude, this is a nice slant on the goal line. Look at the leverage. Oh, no. Roger McCreary has inside leverage. He's daring Treylon Burks to run this fade. And Treylon Burks is able to cross his face, create some separation. Yeah, he doesn't catch the ball. But I really don't give a fuck. Because this is exactly what I wanted to see out of Treylon Burks. Be able to create separation with your quickness, a quick jab step against an NFL corner with unfavorable leverage. If he can do that, as long as he can catch it at the NFL level, like, the guy's going to be good. I'm with JT. Physical freak. Get the ball in his hands. Line him up anywhere. Like, to me, yes, he's raw. Yes, he has flaws. Yes, I still have him as my wide receiver 3 because I think this is a damn good receiver class, all right? But
so at the end of the day, me and you, Frank, are on the same page here. You probably have Wilson and London ahead of him, just like I
do, but not a ton far. I believe in Treylon Burks. I'm not pulling out the I worry about everything card. Yeah, they line him up in the slot over half the time. But I think I believe in Treylon Burks. I've seen what he can do after the catch. I've seen the potential that he has. Yeah, he needs some polish, but while I wouldn't take him at 102 or 101, I would take him with a top 5 pick. I'm not shying away from him.
I would take him 5th right now if I had like all 5 picks.
I'm taking him 2.
He's my wide receiver 2. He'd probably he'd be behind Hall. This isn't in order. Hall, Wilson, Malik Willis. Am I forgetting someone? He might be 4 then, not 5.
Because, like,
let me
show another clip real quick on the screen. This is what I'm talking about. It's actually from the same game. I was switching which game. Like, you just throw a quick little flare screen to him. And this is what I love about Treylon that you just don't see in his routes, which I wish I could see more. And I think that he will learn and adapt into at the NFL level, like we've seen other receivers do with worse physical skill sets than him. Like, you look at the moves, dude, the quickness, the potential that you can see. Like, I mean, it's one of the things that others have pointed out and I've adapted to. And I've gotten burned on this in the past, is that guys that are good after the catch are good because they are just talented players for the most part. And a lot of the stuff that you can do after the catch can be translated into your route running, and the physicality that you have after the catch can be translated into the NFL level against NFL man coverage, right? Like, yes, there are flaws in his game, but I believe in him as a prospect, and I'm not fading him because of his flaws.
No, to make myself clear, I'm not fading Treylon Burks by any sense of the imagination. I think there's right now I have 2 receivers higher than him on the board. I think have just as high of upside with not as much downside. And I think if you're taking a receiver as high as 103, 102, even like JT said, like I'm going to go with the guy that I know his floor is like a wide receiver 2 in the NFL. And that's, Garrett Wilson, Drake London. I think at worst, he is a fantasy wide receiver 2. And at best, they're still a first round receiver. Both of those guys are probably also going to go in the first round, if not early second. And of the NFL draft, I mean, obviously there'll be first round picks in rookie drafts here. But, Treylon Burks, I still think you come 104, 105, 106. If you really like him as a prospect, absolutely go get him.
Who are you taking?
His upside is absolutely elite. Like if he fulfills everything that we're saying he can do, and improve his route running, improve his hands a little bit, not a whole lot, just a little bit. If just polish up his game a little bit. His upside is enormous. He might be talking about a top 5 overall receiver in the league. Good, like he's phenomenal, but he could also be a gadget player that just was used in this Arkansas offense a shit ton. And he's good after the catch, and maybe he can't do it at the NFL.
Actually, Joe Herbert probably described him better than all of us. Burks is very raw, very limited route tree, not a great route runner, doesn't use
his hands well. That's what that says. Doesn't use his hands
well. Well,
he doesn't use his hands on with getting. He doesn't use his hands well with getting his release off.
Oh, okay. I see. It's on the second line. It doesn't use his hands well, getting off press. He's coachable, willing to work his craft. His ceiling is awesome. Completely correct. Joe Herbert. But Jake, I wanted to ask you, who are you taking? Are you taking Kenneth Walker, Isaiah Spiller, Malik Willis, and QB2 over any one of those 4 over Treylon Burks? Or are you taking Treylon?
I would probably take Malik Willis. I might take Isaiah Spiller, depending on the landing spot, and I would take, as I said, Drake London. I would take Garrett Wilson. So right now, for me, he's at best pick 5.
You guys are sleeping on Burks.
I haven't picked 4. He's my wide receiver 2.
He's
your wide receiver 2 also.
Yeah, I think I have him at
he's my wide receiver 1
right now as well, which that's the problem. I'm not going to take him 101 or 102 in a super flex draft. I'm just not taking him that high.
I've been trying to find. Shout out to Smart Football. I've been looking up trying to find the stats.
If you wanted to make the argument, I could see Matt Corral or
no, get out of here. Look, yards per route run according to Smart Football, right? They do. I don't know where I'm going to assume PFF is where they get their stats, but they tweet them out, so that's where I'm finding them on Twitter. Yards per route run versus single coverage. Treylon Burks had 5.24. Yards per route run versus press coverage, 3.93. Now, we want to compare that with other players. I'll do that first. He's 3.93 compared to Drake London's 3.4, Garrett Wilson's 3.13, David Bell's 2.71. That's against man coverage and single coverage. He's 5.24, which is above Drake London's 4.22, Garrett Wilson's 3.83, David Bell's 3.43. So he's like over a full yard ahead of these guys. Now, why is that important? He's in that elite level tier that Jamar Chase and DK Metcalf had when they were in college. Jamar Chase, for example, I just said Burks had like 5.2 something. Jamar Chase had 5.91 in his sophomore season. People that we're talking about and hyping up this year, like the likes of Jackson Smith and Jigba and Kayshon Boutte, 3.51, 3.11. Like Treylon Burks is above these guys. Like I don't know. I get that Drake London is very good. I really like Drake London. I really like Garrett Wilson, but Treylon Burks to me is just like he's my clear one. And then the next guys like kind of follow right there. But that's why I still like Breece Hall, and I think like you gotta take the top running back of the class, and he's kind of clearly now the top running back, I think.
Yeah.
He's not even close at running back.
So I get it, but once we're looking at these guys, like Treylon Burks just offers so much more to me in that regard. He's just like he's a big guy that can move, and we've seen it work out just like 3 straight years in a row, like very clearly. So I don't know, Treylon Burks.
Wait, so that's all yards per route run? I mean, the one thing I will say with Treylon that might help him out in the yards per route run is that he was kind of used in that prototypical number 1 receiver role in this Arkansas offense, right? And I mean, that's not a bad thing. I'm not trying to act like this is a bad thing, right? And if this works out at the NFL level, he's going to be a fucking beast. Because like if you see one-on-one coverage and you have these 2 safeties that line at the top, and one of them rolls down into a single high coverage, and you have one-on-one on the outside, you know where you're throwing the ball. Like, you're chucking that shit up to Treylon and letting him go 1v1, right? Like, easy money. And he's done it 2 years in a row. I just think that I have Treylon in the top tier. I'm not willing to put him at 101. I don't mind if you have him as the wide receiver 1 and take him 102. I'm still taking Breece Hall at 101. But, like, I don't think he's the clear-cut, easy 101 because I just don't think he's developed enough. But I'm not fading him because he's not developed enough.
Which is fair. I got very passionate about that, and you guys have him like 2 spots behind me.